to that's in the area, and they've even potentially looked toward donating some land if it works out where the station could be located. Baker Hughes, Schlumberger, BJ Services, just to name some of the oil and gas groups. And most recently, I've talked to Francis Drilling Fluids, who is potentially investigating an 18-wheeler to be powered by compressed natural gas, which is the first that we've heard along those lines. So every time we speak to a different group, there's different entities that come forward that are realizing the benefits of it. You know, one of the things that's also important is that we have local automobile dealerships here in the city that are interested in it, because we're going to need someone that's going to be able to service these vehicles, where it requires specific technicians with different skill sets to be able to test the tanks and to make sure the equipment is functioning as properly. We need people to sell the vehicles, and ultimately we need people that may want to do the conversions of the equipment, where I can bring my 2008 pickup truck in and actually get it converted to run on compressed natural gas, as opposed to having to buy an all-new vehicle.
Well, it sounds like really you're targeting the business people in this particular region. I mean, you're not talking about the soccer mom or the Nicole DeZarmos out there in the world. You're really talking about people who have delivery fleets. Is that where we are right now, and can we build towards where everybody can get it?
Yeah, I think once the infrastructure gets built out, it makes more sense for consumers. But what we're targeting right now are fleets that have a home base, where their vehicles go out and come back, and can fill up at a station. If you're a consumer and you're going to be going, there's no telling where you're going to go throughout the state. There's not enough infrastructure yet for them to use compressed natural gas. But that's the intent, is to build out the infrastructure in the state. And the state incentive that Gifford mentioned is going to do some wonderful things. And I think in a few years we'll see, you'll be able to travel across the state and get compressed natural gas.
The challenge for your average consumer is that they don't travel enough to realize the benefit. So the incremental cost is too high, even with the state tax credits in place, where they don't recoup their investment over the life of the vehicle. Or if they do, it's at the very end of the vehicle. And making that upfront cost is a little bit too much. Now, Chevy and GM makes over 30 vehicles worldwide that they don't make in the United States to focus in on compressed natural gas as the fuel. As the demand in the U.S. grows, and as more natural gas vehicles are purchased by fleet owners and operators, these companies, GM and Chevy and Ford, are going to see that there is a demand here for more natural gas vehicles. And the hope is that they're going to bring some of these vehicles that they have built from the ground up to run off natural gas, they're going to bring those back to the U.S. At that point, the costs are going to come down significantly because of the mass production numbers. And then the economics may make sense for your soccer moms and your average consumer.
It seems that Lafayette, being in the center of the oil and gas industry's involvement, would be a leader in this effort, and I feel like we are. And I want the Chamber of Commerce to help facilitate and bring people together to make this happen. Is it prevalent anywhere else around the world? Is there anybody else in the United States doing this at this particular time? Where are the hotbeds of all of this?
Talking about around the world, there are over 10 million compressed natural gas vehicles in the world. In the U.S., we have about 100,000. Apache operates in Argentina, and in Argentina, 25% of those vehicles run on compressed natural gas. So it is conceivable that we could have a high percentage of vehicles in the U.S. run on compressed natural gas if we decide to build out the infrastructure and provide the vehicles. In the U.S., the hotbeds are California. There's a lot of compressed natural gas and LNG vehicles there. A lot of that was initiated for environmental reasons. Utah has, you can travel up their entire interstate system and get across the state. They have about 20 stations. Oklahoma has similar incentives to Louisiana, and so they have a lot of stations too. Outside of that, well, there's probably no other states outside of that.
I think I heard Baton Rouge has a couple of stations that are somewhat old school, and they perhaps fuel their buses, city buses.
I'm not sure which vehicles. There's 4 stations in operations, and I believe they're in operations by Entergy. I know at least 2 of them are, and that was from in the early 80s. The efforts that was made in the state to convert over to compressed natural gas, and there's still some vehicles running in and around Baton Rouge that run off the compressed natural gas. But just as computer technologies has evolved, so has fueling station technology. and the stations that exist in Lafayette do not utilize, in Baton Rouge, don't utilize the newest technology. They're not designed necessarily to be fast fill, high volume stations. The stations that are being built right now in North Louisiana, Bossier has got 2 under contract, and one of them I believe is going to be finished this year, and that's going to be current technology, high utilization, available for consumers and fleets. Shreveport also has they're converting their bus system over Sport-Tran, and they're in the process of bringing those new buses and building their station out. So there's definitely some movement in Louisiana to move towards compressed natural gas. Part of that's going to come from a almost approximate $10 million fund from the stimulus funds that the Department of Natural Resources currently has. And last Monday they started the conversations with the cities and municipalities around the state to enter into competitive grants requests for that money. Whereas, for instance, the city of Lafayette could approach the Department of Natural Resources and ask for funding to convert their bus system over or some other heavier use vehicles. So those are some of the ways that it's going to be springboarding forward. Lafayette's definitely headed in the right direction, but we're not the only one in the state heading in that direction.
Yeah, I'd really like to see Lafayette push forward and put the pedal to the metal, so to speak. I've seen a couple of photographs of the tanks in the back of a pickup truck, the compressed natural gas tanks, and I suspect it's a biofuel type situation where you run on gasoline or diesel and you flip a switch and you go to compressed natural gas or whatever. Is that tank safe? How safe is it?
It's a 3,600 psi tank, and it's been tested under all kinds of conditions, and it's a very safe tank. I mean, if there were ever a leak, the natural gas would dissipate as compared to a gasoline engine or a gasoline tank, which is not a very strong tank. If it leaks, the gasoline will pool under the vehicle. So, natural gas is very safe. I mean, if you think about what you use in your home, you don't use gasoline to cook your meals. You use natural gas. So it's a safe
Good point.
commodity.
Now, there's an awful lot of entrepreneurs out there in this particular area, and I can visualize somebody in the audience say, well, maybe I can concoct a kit that would convert in my backyard. Maybe I can go in my garage and put something together. There's some people out there that think that way. Does it take specialized equipment? Do you have to get certified? Who can put these kits together in a vehicle?
Well, those people are actually out there right now and have been speaking to different groups that we've talked to, saying that they can convert vehicles to natural gas now. Just like with anything else, you know,